In this video, I'm going to give you 8 tips and tricks anyone could use to breed aquarium shrimp fast and raise a large colony. These tips mainly apply for neocaridina shrimp, but will work for caridinas as well. Starting off with tip number 8 is to add botanicals. First off, what are botanicals? So aquarium botanicals include stuff like leaf litter, twigs, seeds, and driftwood. These are basically natural materials that are found in wild habitats of shrimp. Botanicals will simulate the natural habitat where these shrimp are from, and this will greatly encourage breeding behaviors as it will very well suit your shrimp. They're also going to release nutrients into the water after they decompose, such as leaf litter, so a lot of people like to add the leaves into their tanks. Indian almond leaves are an example of this. These are great at lowering the pH. And basically what happens after you add them in is over time they will release tannins into the water. They're going to lower the pH, and the minerals that it releases are very healthy and beneficial for aquarium shrimp. They will provide a perfect environment for your shrimplets, and the presence of botanicals and the natural environment it provides will trigger natural breeding behaviors. Number 7 is to feed sinking foods and to feed plenty. If you want a shrimp colony and with healthy shrimplets, this is a key aspect of feeding. Now, the reason why I recommend sinking foods is because sinking foods allow shrimp to more easily access the food, and also when they sink to the bottom, they're going to be munched on, eaten, and there's going to be particles that go all over the bottom of the tank that are great for the shrimp to scavenge. In other words, sinking foods are much more convenient for them to eat. They typically aren't as good as competing for food at the top of the tank against a fish, so sinking foods are definitely going to help out your shrimp. Some great options I'd recommend are frozen bloodworms, pellets, and fruits like bananas or apples. They don't need to eat a lot, so you could just throw in a small piece in there. You also want to feed your shrimp plenty. If you plan on raising a large colony, then the amount of food you choose to feed them is very important. More food equals more breeding. It's also going to signal for the shrimp that once they have babies, that there's going to be enough food in the tank for the babies to eat once they're born. So make sure to feed well and feed plenty. My next tip is to provide hiding spots, specifically in plants such as Java moss, Christmas moss, hornwort, or guppy grass. These plants are some of the best for keeping and breeding aquarium shrimp, and this is for many reasons. One, these are very fast-growing aquarium plants. They're great at improving water quality and creating a more natural environment for the shrimp. Plants like hornwort are also great at stabilizing the pH. A stable environment is extremely important for shrimp, so this is something that you really want. These plants also provide great hiding spots for the fry. They provide tons of hiding areas. There's a lot of different aquarium plants that are great at providing shelter for baby shrimp that also grow very fast and are great for breeding tanks. Floater plants can also help as well. And other plants like water sprite, water wisteria, alodia, these are great choices for breeding shrimp as well. All of these plants are fantastic options for keeping and breeding shrimp. My tip number 5 is to make sure your filters are not sucking them up. Stuff like hang-on back filters are the most common ones that will suck up shrimp that are smaller in size. Many don't realize it because they think the suction is very low when in reality it isn't. I have even found shrimp living in the filters after being sucked in. A simple trick to this issue is to use a pre-filter sponge to attach onto the intake. This is going to prevent any of your baby shrimp from being sucked in. A different approach would be to use sponge filters. Sponge filters will not be sucking in any shrimp as they're just not going to do that. Sponge filters are completely shrimp safe. You don't have to worry about anybody getting hurt. A lot of breeders use these filters when they've got racks and racks of tanks. They're very simple. Either way, make sure your filters are shrimp safe. Number 4 is to keep them in a shrimp only tank. Oftentimes in community tanks, we include fish that are not compatible with smaller shrimp. It doesn't even have to be super aggressive like cichlids. There's many tetras out there that will attack baby shrimp or even shrimp that are smaller in size. And this could include black neon tetras and serpe tetras. There's a lot of fish that will eat baby shrimp, so you need to be careful who their tank mates are. Even tiny fish like chilirasboras are capable of eating shrimp babies if given the opportunity, although it is rare. Basically, newborn shrimp could possibly be eaten by anybody. If you want zero predators for the fry, then there is the option of keeping a shrimp-only tank. This will guarantee that there's only shrimp in the tank. Obviously, there's not going to be any predators that are going to eat the babies. Keeping a shrimp-only tank is going to make the shrimp feel very secure in laying eggs and breeding. It's the best method if you wish to raise a large shrimp colony. My third tip is to keep the temperature in the high 70s. A higher temperature of around 75 to 76 degrees Fahrenheit is going to increase the shrimp's metabolism and increase their growth and reproduction cycles. This also means they reach maturity faster and could breed more often. Keeping shrimp in warmer water will also boost their appetite, which is going to lead to more food consumption that is necessary for breeding. However, make sure not to do this suddenly, as shrimp really do not like sudden changes in the water parameters. And this brings me to my second point, which is to leave them alone and keep everything stable. Stable water conditions are some of the most important things when keeping shrimp. This is because most shrimp are just really sensitive to temperature fluctuations and are not going to take huge changes well. Stable water conditions will reduce stress and it will foster a healthy environment for the shrimp to breed. This means keeping a stable pH, temperature, and more. It also means to just leave the shrimp alone and not bother them. A lot of people, after setting up their tank, keep on moving the rocks, filter, or other plants that disturbs the shrimp. You'll want to keep everything as stable as possible. Shrimp do not like changes, especially when they're breeding. Stable conditions will allow the shrimp to feel safe in breeding and releasing eggs. My final tip for this video is to purchase young shrimp. A lot of the shrimp that you buy online from those big retailers, they're going to be sold when they're very old and when they're large. Oftentimes, they are sold when they are at the end or near the end of breeding age, so they might not breed as much for you once they arrive to your tank. Older shrimp are likely more sensitive as well, and it's going to be harder on them to readjust. Another common thing that happens is you might get a lot more females than males. Now this is because females are significantly more colorful than the male shrimp. Not saying you have to avoid online shrimp entirely, but you gotta do good research. Best method, in my opinion, I would recommend going to your local fish store so that you could select them yourself. Now, when you're choosing your shrimp, I would not choose the ones that are looking really large, really old, nor would I choose the tiny ones. I would get the juvenile, mid-sized shrimp, the ones that are just starting to blossom, just getting ready to breed. Plus, you're going to be able to keep those shrimp for a longer period of time. And juvenile shrimp also tend to be the hardiest. If you found this video useful, be sure to subscribe down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.